Hi everyone, this is Liz from Learn Robotics and welcome to part 2 of the Fusion 360 tutorial series on how to build a 3D robotic arm. In the last tutorial, we learned how to design a robot base, and in this tutorial, we're going to be creating link 1 that sits over the top of the base and rotates around. So let's get started. You'll need to create yourself a new design. Ensure that your units are in millimeters. And we're going to open up a new sketch on the top plane. So let's go ahead and create a sketch. We'll click the top plane. We're going to search for a center diameter circle. Let's make that 100 millimeters to match the base. Let's extrude that up 10 millimeters. And we'll go ahead and change the view. Let's flip to the bottom side, create ourselves another sketch on the bottom plane. And we're going to create another center diameter circle, 95 millimeters. So let's extrude that outwards so that it sits nicely in the top of the base. That looks pretty good. Now we need to create some attachments for our motors. We're going to be using NEMA 23 motors for this project. Let's go ahead to the front view and create a new sketch. We'll create the sketch on the front plane. And I'm going to create this motor mount off of the side and then extrude it outwards. So let's create some lines. Go ahead, let's make this 80 millimeters. And then we'll go up, let's make that 50 millimeters. And then let's loop back around. I'd like to kind of give this a little bit of a curvature just to make it look interesting. So let's go ahead and do something like this, and then we can go ahead and go back down. All right, now what we can do is add in some dimensions. We'll go ahead and let's make this line and this line perpendicular. Let's give a dimension for our radius. Let's make that 45. And then let's do an offset from the center. Let's make that 20 millimeters. All right. And now let's make this height offset 60 millimeters. Now that our sketch is fully defined, we can go ahead and extrude this out. Hit the E key. And let's go ahead and do symmetric. And we'll do a total of 10 millimeters. And that looks pretty good. We want to make sure that we're joining it. All right, so there's our cool little motor mount. Now we just need to create the mounting holes for our NEMA 23 motor. Let's go ahead and click on the face and let's add in a 2-point rectangle, and we'll make this rectangle 47.244 by 47.244. That's the size of the NEMA motor. We'll go ahead and we'll dimension this off of the center of the arc. Let's make that 25, and let's make this height 25 and have it centered around the arc. That looks pretty good. Now what we can do is hit the H key. We're going to go ahead and create some holes. We'll click on the corners of this sketch. And these holes are just going to go all the way through. And we want a 4 millimeter isometric profile screw. And that looks pretty good. Now we need to create the axle holes. So we'll go ahead and we'll turn on that previous sketch, hit the H key, and use the center point. This one is just going to be a simple hole. We want it to go all the way through, and let's make the diameter 6 millimeters. Can shut off that sketch, and that looks pretty great. Awesome. So now let's go back home, and we're going to go on the top, and we're going to repeat this process for the second NEMA motor that's going to be mounted to the circle, which will be used to rotate the base. Let's go ahead and create the sketch on the top. We're going to go ahead and use a 2-point rectangle, and we're going to go 47.244 by 47, tab over, 47.244, hit enter, and we're going to dimension this off of the center of the circle. Let's go ahead and move this 40 millimeters just so that it's slightly over, and then we will move this up about 25 millimeters so that it's centered, and that looks pretty good. Now we can use that same command, stop the sketch, choose the whole command, which is H, and then let's select these outer points. Let's actually make this 8. We will use a tapped, and we'll make this 4 millimeter and hit OK. Shut off that sketch just to take a look at it. If you want to kind of reposition this just to give yourself a little more room, what you can do is go back to your previous sketch and go back to the dimensions, edit the sketch, and let's just go ahead and make this 30 millimeters. And that will give us a little bit more room just to reposition our screws without running off of the edge. And let's go ahead and turn on the last sketch. We want to edit this sketch, and instead of having it out 40, drop that down to 30, and that looks like it's repositioned just a little bit better. Now we need to add the axle for the bottom NEMA motor. Just do a simple hole with a 6 millimeter diameter. You can shut off the sketch, return to home, take a look at the final model. So this is just a simple link that'll have 2 motors attached to it. This side will connect directly into the base, and this side will connect another motor to another link. To finish off this model, we can add some fillets. I'm gonna go ahead and do the edges, do a 3 millimeter in, just so that it kind of gives it a polished look. Go ahead and do a fillet around the outer edges as well. Really just completes the design and makes it look more like a robot. In this tutorial, I showed you how to create a link that'll connect directly into the base of a robot arm. This link has 2 motor mounts, and we'll be able to connect to link number 2 and provide movement for our robot. Stay tuned for the next tutorial. If you enjoyed this content and these tutorials, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.